Peace, everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of Get Buckets with Coach Gus Gauntlett and friends. I'm joined by another incredibly experienced coach here in the Bay Area, Justin Fujihara. He is the founder and owner of GAMETIME Basketball, which is a really beautiful skills academy. One thing I really love about it is that they really emphasize the fundamentals as the base development of a good basketball player, and I really appreciate that. He's been coaching for over 20 years in different spaces around the Bay, and he's entering his 7th season as the Varsity Girls Head Coach at Wilcox. Really happy to have you on, Justin. How you doing today? Thank you so much for being here.
Doing great, Gus. Thanks a lot for having me on, and thanks a lot for what you're doing for the game and for a bunch of local coaches like me.
Absolutely. You know, you're the second coach that I've had on this show who I've known since I was in high school. I think I met you maybe as a freshman or a sophomore, most likely through your brother or through Brad Sasaki or Randy Chang, a couple South Bay Area players I played with in high school. And I always knew you and your brother, seen you around, knew you both loved the game. And I'm just really happy to see that after high school ended, that you've really, maintained a beautiful commitment to the game and given back to the game as a coach. And also, I imagine, of course, you receive a lot of joy from what you do as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I started coaching, like you said, 20 years. So, I mean, I was actually started my first year out of high school was one of my first years starting to coach high school. So ever since then, been going at it ever since. So, but I enjoy the game. I know I love a lot of the stuff that you can learn from it, not just on the floor, but off the court as well. So, met a lot of good kids, met a lot of nice people, coaches, and officials, administrators, and it's just been something that I really enjoy doing. It's always been a passion of mine.
Awesome. Well, if you want to learn more about Justin and GAMETIME Basketball specifically, definitely check out the link in the bio below, in the description below. It's a really awesome program.
Thank you.
So, do you want to say anything more about GAMETIME?
No. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. So you already know, we hop right into it. So Justin, you're up. You're going to be sharing a play that if your team was down 1 with maybe 10 seconds to go, what play or what is one of the plays that you would like to go to get that good bucket?
Okay, so hopefully you can see all this right here. So I'll use the whiteboard. So, it's tough just to pick one. I mean, there's so many plays that any coach can pick from their arsenal. Obviously depends on the situation of the game and the personnel. This is one of the first plays that I actually learned. I learned it from my dad, and so it's a 2-guard set. So we start it pretty much like so. So it's a 2-guard set.
Perfect.
If you can see all that, we got our 1 up top. We got our 2-guard on the right wing. We got our 3 on the left wing. Our 4 is at the second guard slot up here, and our 5, who's actually opposite of the ball. Now, like I said, given the amount of time that's in the game, or and there's a lot of little wrinkles that you could also do to it. But the basic point of the play, first and foremost, we're going to start basically with this side right here. I mean, obviously your point guard, your best ball handler, and we'll say our 2 is probably like one of our scorers. So what we're going to actually start with is a quick interchange. So the ball is going to be dribbled as a dribble entry, and the 2 is going to just simply interchange between. So from right around here, I mean, we're just going to get our main ball handler with the ball over here to this wing. So once we have that interchange right here, the 1 is now at the wing with the ball. The 2 is right here. We're just going to make a reversal pass up top, and then he's going to run to the block right here. And this is all about timing. It's about, your teammates knowing one another. So the 2 now has the ball. We're going to make this reversal right here to the 4. And then the 2 is just going to basically make this reversal pass, catch, reverse, and then just kind of like step to the side a little bit as if he's out, done with himself with the play. And then, again, it's all about timing. As soon as we see the 2's pass leave their hands to go to the 4, we're going to have a flash right up here to the mid-post area. Okay, so once that happens, it's all about timing. We're gonna get this pass. The ball comes right here. We get a flash. We're gonna get a high post entry. All right, And once that high post entry happens, the 2 who was originally out of the play is going to back door. So again, we have the 2 that had the ball, who reversed it to the 4. There is a flash up here. There's an entry pass. Once this reversal happens, we step out and then we make a back cut right here. So it's a quick drop pass right here as a backdoor pass. You know, and then that's basically the quick play that we got. The good thing about today's game is, I mean, a lot of people forgotten about the old school stuff, the pick and rolls, the back doors, all that type of stuff. You know, especially with today's defense, people get concerned with what we call ball watching. So when that happens, I mean, it's a great opportunity to kind of get a back cut that goes to the basket, and hopefully we get that backdoor pass for a shot. A lot of other things, like I said, there are other wrinkles that can come out of it. If this 2 who cuts through doesn't get it, all right, it could be they can simply cut through and clear, all right, and then this one can make that fake to that pass face up for a mid-range shot right here. They could rip across, step across, and rip pivot and drive it to the hoop. This post could then, or from right here, the post could step in and make a little seal on the inside, and we could look for a high-low entry pass. I mean, even if you want from the very beginning, what we've done many a time, especially if this is a play that you want to use from the get-go, is when you make this dribble entry interchange right here and we come through, a lot of people feel like this pass, you know, when we make this pass and we run this play a couple times, a lot of people will slack. So when we get around here, we make like we're going to reverse this pass, but essentially your best ball handler has got this whole side right here to themselves. So they can basically dribble on the outer side. This one comes on the interchange, and when the defender right here follows, I mean, that just clears an area to attack the basket. And then on that drive, if this man looks to help, we could slide right up here into this hole, and we could get a nice little pocket pass right in here for right in the middle of the key. Beautiful. So it's a lot of there are a lot of options. Even though this is a set quick hitter play, you really want to emphasize to your players to learn how to read and react, and then, you know, focus on timing, you know, focus on, you know, your footwork, because if you're the one who makes this catch right up here in this high hole area, I mean, you got to have really good footwork in order, in essence, to make it a drop step, to make that first look, a forward pivot to face up, and a step across to drive it. I mean, so those are just key things right now that I think are very important, learning how to, you know, not just to execute a set, but, you know, not just to be successful while playing the game.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that first and foremost. Yeah, I'm just all the different modifications and alterations are going through my mind right now. I also think about just as you mentioned, the skill of footwork. If the one catches it in that high post area, how to have good footwork to make a good move from that. I think of also for that 2
right.
cutting back door, the skill of how to set your defender up for a backdoor cut. Right. We know that if we want to beat our defender, it's not always about like looking where I'm going to go and then running. Right. Maybe I'm looking at the play over here, I'm jabbing in, and then I'm cutting. Just so many different things, but it makes or breaks the play. You know, if you want to make a good backdoor cut to get the ball, there's a skill to that.
Definitely. And and I guess the good thing about this play is, I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're at the youth level, you know, or, you know, you're just getting started and learning how to play, because this was a play that I first learned back when I was like, you know, 10, 11, 12 years old, you know what I mean? And it could be used at an upper level as well. And I mean, it just, like I said, depends on like you said, the fundamentals, the footwork, the timing, or what we call team speed. You know, it's not any individual, like, you know, the back cutter could get over anxious and go just before the one even has the ball to even make a pass to him, you know, and then it doesn't even matter. So, I mean, I think those things, just getting on that same team chemistry with your teammates and your peers, I think that makes it for a very, you know, all those things. It's five pieces working together. So, you know, so it's very, very important. And I think that's like I said, so that's what I like about the play is you could run it at any level, you know, but as anything, it takes time, it takes practice, and it takes teamwork as well.
Yeah, I've never heard that term team speed before, and I love that. Wow, that's such like a great way to describe. And we've all seen it. We've seen it where one player is moving 1,000 miles an hour and the rest of the team's moving 10 miles an
Right.
hour. We've seen vice
Right.
versa. So when you have that
Right.
squad where everyone looks like they're like all moving at 90, and it's like a perfect unison. That's
Sure.
lovely right there.
Sure. Right. Definitely.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Awesome. And I also like the modification of the, if they start to just think of that basic, when the one brings out to the wing and the defense maybe starts to just get lax, or they've seen that play a few times, they think it's going to be a real basic pass back to the 2. The 1 sees
Right.
them slacken, as you said, that just is so much space there on the wing for a skilled ball handler just to attack. And nothing gets a ball handler more excited than just seeing a lot of space and only one defender.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, no, it's a good set. It's also a good way to, to read, see how the defense is playing, you know what I mean? And so, I mean, it's a really good little set that you can run.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. We're going to hop right into it.
All right, what you got?
All right, here we go. I'm going to pin my video. There we go. All right. So this play actually was inspired by our week 3 guest, Frank Alaco Jr., who's now at Clayton Valley Charter, but spent many years as an assistant to his father at De La Salle. And he mentioned that in a state championship game, maybe 15 years ago, they had a basic out-of-bounds play, which was like a box out-of-bounds play. And I think if you've been a coach or a player at most levels of basketball, definitely high school, most people, they know the box. It's like, you got your 1, 2, maybe your 4 or 5. Your 3 is taking it out. You're either going to screen up or screen down, maybe screen across from time to time. It's your pretty basic box.
Sure.
What I did was I kind of took that inspiration and thought about a way to kind of flip that in just a half-court set. So in this set, we're going to have our 1, let's say they're bringing it down there from the half court. Our 2 and 3 are coming down the floor, and our 4 and 5 are set up here as they would be down the block. If this was like a transition type of offense, I would want my 4 or 5 sprinting down, being the first ones down the court, and our 2 and 3 trailing a little bit. If it was half court set with 10 seconds left, the 4 and 5 are just going to get in position. 2 and 3 are going to be out in the wings, spaced out. So first action is your 4 and your 5 screening up, come to the elbow. Our 2 is going to come off that 4 screen on the outside here and cut in. Our 3 is going to come down, jab out, and then come in and clear out to this corner. So that's the first step. So we've got our 5 setting the screen for the 3 to clear out, and our 4 setting for the 2. So where we're at after that, by this point, our 1 here is dribbling in. We have our 3 here. We have our 5 who just set here. We have our 4 who just set here, and we have our 2 who just came off just the 4 screen. Then once that 3 clears out, and really ideally without stopping after this 2 comes off that screen from the 4, they're actually going to set a double screen coming across here for the 5, 1 and 2. And as this 1 is dribbling, I would like them to kind of angle out to make this an easier pass. And that 5 is going to jab down and come high side off that screen. So our first look is that 1 looking for the 5 or about here off of that double screen. So at this point, we have the 5 here coming off, just came off that double screen. The 4 and the 2 have just set that double screen. After the 4 and 2 set that double screen, I want my 4 to pop out here. I want my 2 to pop to the corner. So ideally, and our 3 is here in the corner. Ideally, if this is a nice double screen, hopefully the defender gets caught up. Our 5 is able to catch an entry pass, around here as they're coming off that screen, and then continue on the bucket for a bucket. So if they get that, that's great. All is good. However, if maybe the 5's defender really fights hard to come up top, stays in between man and ball, and is blocking that entry pass from the 1, the 1's going to read that. They're going to pass that quickly down to the 3. And now we have here is the 5's going to continue on with their defender on that high side. And that 3 now maybe has a shot here in the corner. Or that defender, if they stay on top to block that pass, I want my 5 to seal and make that defender continue to front. And I'm looking for a quick lob. Hopefully, to the 2's defender, if they're playing great defense, they're going to be here in the key with that help side. But hopefully with the movement of them setting that screen and then flashing out, they get a little lost and maybe in this area, leaving that nice lob pass to over a fronted defender there. So that's kind of a second continued option.
Nice.
Yep. So that's what we're looking at. Any feedback, any things you see?
I like how again, you leave it open for just like how in any play. It's kind of like saying, depending upon how you're reading the defense and how they're playing, there's no black and white really. It's kind of,
Yeah.
there's that little gray area from where they're going to be positioned. So I think it just takes just like how we said in our sets, a lot of read and react and just trying to see how the defense is playing you at that point, whether they're off, whether they're up in you, because, like I said, they're waiting for you to attack them to try to for us to regain the lead. So,
yeah.
I like the idea of the post sprinting up the court, and the three stepping out to the corner just to kind of make them honest. We do a lot of something similar with the ball handle up at that top spot with a shooter in that dead corner spot, right? Because, on a drive, some coaches defensively may say, hey, that three, if they're up higher at the wing, they may help. So it's important to drop them on that top down, there's anything top down, so that they could make that defender make a choice. They can't handle the three and stop the ball simultaneously. They got to make sure whether they're going to choose up the ball or stop the dead corner shot. You know what I mean? So it puts them in a tough situation. And then, like you say, if you have a post that's down low on the inside, it's all a matter of, do you want to try to get the ball down low, depending upon how the defense is playing, or you can flip that skip. And once that skip, so if you have that three has the ball,
yep.
and they are to make that skip to the 4 or to the 3,
yep.
Or to the 2. I'm sorry. That 5 could reverse his seal and sit on him, and then hold that seal. So whoever comes out, when they got a wide open post entry from that angle too. If you change the angle, you skip it to either one of them. That post reverse pivot steals on his man, then you got a clean entry, So I like that. I like that a lot.
I love that. Thank you so much for that feedback. That addition of the skip is great. And one of the I forget which coach it was, might have been Wade or maybe Frank, actually Alaco Jr. from last week, said 10 seconds is a lot of time. When you have players that move the ball crisply and with purpose, 10 seconds can last a while. So I think you probably could get through potentially all of those progressions within 10 seconds, even including a skip pass,
right,
that first seal, and then
right,
you said just a nice clean entry pass at that point, as opposed to lobbing it over a fronting defender. I like that observation.
Right. And just with the way that it is, I'm like, if you're trying to attack the basket, I'm like, you also bring a second plan B into it where you may draw a foul. You know what I mean? And at the same time, you may stop the clock as you're trying to make a comeback, not just at the last second, but as you guys are trying to regain the lead too. You're freezing the clock as you're trying to catch up. So definitely the look in, it definitely makes, if you have a good post, it definitely makes the defense have to make a decision whether it's to stay home and help, or to try and stay out and cover their own man. It's just every man for himself. It just depends. So, but no, it's a good, especially in today's game where they've now since the high school days, where now they actually, they define what a foul is when they go to the basket, and people can get to the line a lot more now than ever. So I definitely like that look in.
Beautiful. Thank you for that note. All right. So to wrap it up, I always like to ask each coach a question kind of about their coaching journey. So for you, I'd like to know, who was the first coach that, sparked something in you that made you realize that someday you want to be a coach also?
The funny thing is, I talk about this play that we just did. I mentioned probably my father. My father was probably both mine and my brother's first coach. He a lot of the fundamentals that we teach and a lot of what we get, in terms of, making sure that everything is correct, not just his term was, practice doesn't make perfect, it makes permanent. So it doesn't really matter really so much what it is. You could be working on something that's totally wrong, but the more, that could be not just fundamentals, it could be habits too. You know what I mean? Your attitude, and your effort, your work ethic, your loyalty, all of that, So, he made it really important to teach the right things to make, and because it's also when we go to high school, because his big aspiration for us was to make high school basketball, you know what I mean? And so he trained us a lot from the beginning to make sure that, I mean, because he was one of the lucky few back then. I mean, he played varsity basketball at Ravenswood High School, and back when the Asian athlete in high school sports was almost non-existent. So I mean, he was one of those that learned to get in, not just by having the right skills, but to have that right mentality, the work ethic to work hard to get there. So that when he was trying to instill that into us, and then he was actually our first coach when we was little community youth program that we were playing on, and he would coach my brother, and then I would be sitting on the bench, and I would be into the huddles sometimes, kind of finishing his sentences every now and then, and then or adding or just adding on to whatever it is that he might have said, or I might have been talking to another player, if he was talking to somebody, I might have been talking to somebody else, or what, so those were things that, I guess that kind of started right then. So I guess you can say I probably had the interest in coaching even when I was a little youngster. So I think that's what started it. But I think it was later on also due to my family, was because, we grew up with a great childhood, you know what I mean? And it's tough for some people that have a parent that's, not just your parent, but also your coach. And he did a great job separating between those two. And I think, I learned a lot through the game, in terms of how I am today, not just as a coach or how I play, but as my daily routine in life. So I think those are things that, and I thought those are important lessons to learn. I didn't want that to end with, him teaching me or my brother, and then that's it. So it's kind of like, trying to help others today, you know what I mean? Especially now more than ever. I think now it's almost impossible to be a kid growing up in this time. But I think now today, I think it's more important to have that type of role model, to have those type of, have that type of way of learning, using sports as a reflection for life. So that's how I try to use it.
That's beautiful. You're the third consecutive guest who came from a lineage of coaches within their family. Wade Nakamura, his father Gene,
Definitely.
many years at Berkeley. Frank Colaco Jr., his father at De La Salle, and I love
Right.
hearing that it's in your family as well. And I really
Right.
respect you for honoring that tradition and wanting to continue it, for your generation. And you've already touched so many lives of so many young people. So I'm really, really grateful for everything that you spread to the game.
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely. Well, Justin, thanks again. Again, if you want to check out more with what Justin is doing at Game Time Basketball, check out the link in the description. It's a really beautiful program. Justin, have a great day. Stay healthy, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Gus. Appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Peace.
Take care.